though, too, is BartJones is loose. Does get targeted down. It is at half HP out. It looks like we are dealing with a base race fight. Welcome to Kane's Wrath. I'm your host, Korak, and today's map is on Tournament Odyssey. Disclaimer, this is a show match, a practice between two higher level players. They are either having fun or working on builds. We are on patch R22 Echo. Starting us off in the bottom left-hand corner, wearing the yellow robes in the scrim gloves, we have BartJones. His opponent for the moment in the top right-hand corner, wearing the teal robes, sporting the nod gloves, here is Futurama. Both fighters ready. Something else to note, this is not the first game in the series. The first round was interrupted by Futurama's cat, who was paid off by BartJones to sit on his router, killing his internet. You may ask, Korak, is that true? How do you know? And my response would be, shut up, you. This map has two Tiberium spikes, two safety Tiberium spikes per player, as well as 3 evenly spaced Tib fields. There is no blue Tiberium for people to get some fast gains early on by distracting their opponent, but that EMP field can make up for it if you take it early enough. Both players just posturing, moving to their natural expansion, starting out their scouting. Good boy Gunwalker is out and gets his first snack for the day, and hopefully a head pat from BartJones. He's a good boy. The scouting has continued for BartJones into the base of Futurama over here. Nothing real major. Neither player is going into anything real sneaky. No full sell-offs or anything like that. We do have Seeker Tank harassment moving into the unprotected or almost unprotected base of Futurama over here. These Seeker Tanks circling around for a potential kill. There are some Scorpion Tanks out here in order to fight them, but they are in a bad position. One Scorpion Tank could possibly go down here already at the beginning. That is one Scorpion Tank relatively for free. The Seekers here are a little bit hurt, but the micro for BartJones is here in order to defeat Futurama. Futurama also showing off some of his micro as well, getting these reverse moves out, not losing any units just quite yet. This force is pretty outnumbered here. I'm assuming we're going to get taken out, but that's not the purpose of that unit. I'm pretty sure these units just wanted to poke and prod and see what they can get, as well as getting some scouting. That's where the good boy Gunbacher is going, and ultimately going to meet his sad fate, giving him a little bit of remaining vision for BartJones. Same thing happening for Futurama. Futurama is doing it to BartJones, a little bit less on the harassment side of the field, but just trying to get those scouting out, see if there's going to be anything sneaky that he is up to. And speaking of something sneaky, we do have some descents here that are probably going to try to make their way around and get some tasty target over here. Hopefully they can avoid detection, and we will see what they will be able to do. The natural expansions for both players are developing quite nicely. They are pretty well defended, at least on the Futurama side. That is a good number of Scorpions. I suspect we're going to see laser turrets in this build. He is not, and those are strong. This looks to be the sneaky I was talking about earlier. These descents are going to hopefully get this Tiberium spike all the way down and cut into the economy of Futurama. It's a little bit of a long shot, but it's only 3 descents, and they have a reasonable chance to take it out. Tiberium Spike is almost down, but there are plenty of bikes here to finish them off. I'm not sure that they are going to be able to get that Tiberium Spike at all. No, it's going to remain in the red, but that also means that Futurama has to repair that in order to keep it safe, because if he sits one set of descents, he's going to send more. Black Hand squads are out here for Futurama. We have the shield upgrade for the Scrin player for BartJones. He looks like that's going to be his primary damage absorption, at least in the mid to early game of this game. We also have a couple of flame tanks and more Black Hand squads moving on the south. They're probably going to do the best they can in order to find some buildings and find some purchase. Lightning Column does get called out for the defense against this impressive number of Scorpion tanks, and there are the Black Hand Squads doing what they can to get some free kills. There's the first set of Buzzer Hive in order to take out the Black Hand Squads. We do lose the tank over on the left-hand side, the Flame Tank. Words are hard. Seekers are engaging the Scorpion tanks. I believe they are a little outnumbered here. The Storm Column is already down. This Buzzer Hive is not going to do too much. There's only a handful of Black Hand Squads. We do have 3 tripods, which are going to be able to push out the remaining forces of Futurama. The back and forward has begun. The dance has begun. And it looks like a large number of Black Hand Squads are going to go down in order to not take out this one reactor. But they were probably there just to support the withdrawal of the primary units of Futurama. Futurama trying again to do something sneaky on the right-hand side of the map, trying to sneak a Flame Tank in there. And it looks like he is also, while he is focusing on that Flame Tank, he's moving his forces over to the left, possibly to get something to pick off. Maybe he'll go for a Tib Spike, maybe he'll get some free buildings. There's not a crazy amount of defenses over here just yet. There are 3, almost 4 tripods here in order to fight. They do get one shot on one of the lower HP Scorpion tanks, but nothing real major. The posturing is continuing. I believe he had the forces to do that, but maybe he is waiting on something else. We have the tier 3 out for BartJones. He's probably going to transition into some level of higher tier units like his opponent is transitioning into avatars here. These Scorpion tanks will probably get outclassed at some point, but they do have the laser capacities and the dozers, and they do have the decent amount of speed, not being one of the faster factions. We also have shields. I forgot to mention it. We have shields out for the tripods. That is going to be helpful, and we have a whole 2 corruptors in order to support these tripods. That is a decent combo, at least until you can get the Eradicator Hexapod or something out else to soak up the damage. Both players positioning. Futurama moving over on the right-hand side of the map, hoping maybe he can get a couple of picks, maybe he can get a free Harvester before the reinforcements of BartJones makes it all the way over here. Probably not super likely. They do move in on 1 Harvester. The 1-click does get called out, completely shutting down this aggression, completely shutting down this first little assault here. Unfortunately, there are so many Scorpion tanks stuck in this field. If BartJones can move a tripod close enough, he can get the crush, but it's not going to happen. The forces did not arrive in time. Once again, those Nod forces are just hard to keep up with. And BartJones, being one of those more skilled players, he is really interested in his micro and really interested in his macro. And speaking of macro, Futurama is moving on multiple sides of the map. These higher level players will do these pincer moves, will attack flanks at the same time. One of the biggest things is kills just aren't kills in this game. Sure, it is a game of attrition in a lot of ways, but if you can get a number of kills on your opponent, distract them, and try to out micro and macro them, you can either confuse or frustrate them and get additional gains on top of your forces. It looks like we have transitioned into man spam for Futurama. That's probably not a bad call. I don't think there's a crazy amount of gunwalkers here in order to fight that. There are a handful of buzzer hives here, and the block does come out for the reactor in order to protect the buzzer hive. And this is not a bad strategy. These buzzers are going to be able to do a good amount of damage to this man spam. That's not a bad solution whatsoever. We do have a few gunwalkers here, and I suspect we're going to see some more here in a little bit, anticipating this man spam, but this man spam is pretty high. There is a crazy amount of man spam here, and they have a good number of upgrades on them as well. With the avatars supporting them, they can do quite a lot. Misclick on a Harvester does end up getting taken down. He is dead, and it looks like BartJones is going to position himself inside his base, working on that defender's advantage, being able to place buildings down to block critical targets, being able to place defensive structures down when they need them, like these buzzer hives, which are putting in work. They are whittling down the crazy amount of man spam that Futurama had. More defenses, more forces moving up for Futurama over here on the center of the map. He is going to take the center. He is going to set up some disruption towers in order to make it hard to see. That way he is more entrenched than BartJones. This is not looking real great for BartJones. He still has an opportunity to turn this around. He has a good number of forces. He may have lost his main base, but he has transitioned well into his natural expansion, both of his naturals expansion, and he does have his T3 units, which are going to make a big difference. I suspect with all of this, we might see a transition into air, but it's hard to tell if BartJones will even have that time. I say that, and there is a Devastator warship right there. Hopefully he will get some buddies here in a minute. A drone ship would be pretty nice, and there it is. There's the assault carrier that's going to be able to soak up some of the shots of this crazy amount of rocket man spam, which is going to be hard to deal with. So far, it still looks like Futurama has the advantage, but the thing with Defender's Advantage is you can push too far into the Defender's base, and sure, you can get a lot of structures, you can kill a bunch of buildings, but if you lose your main force, it's game over. You have a large investment. So both players are poking and prodding at each other to see what they can do and see if they can capitalize on any of the mistakes of their opponents. This is a staggering amount of man spam, but this is also a very large number of gun walkers with shields, tripods with shields, air power with shields. This is a lot to deal with. And this is what I'm talking about, where the higher level players will attack on two different fronts at the same time. The main force for BartJones basically just has to stay here in order to deal with this crazy amount of people, and they can't really deal too much with the units over on the right-hand side. 3 tripods are going to move over there in order to see what they can get done, and they are slowly whittling down the forces of Futurama here in the center. This is still a staggering amount of avatars, but they are going to get pushed back. They are turning around. They are getting some rear armor shots on these avatars, but there's still a large number of them left. A high amount of micro and macro happening from Futurama. Futurama is just all over the place, and BartJones is running out of units. The man spam is continuing, and because he is right here on the front line, he can produce these units almost as quickly as he loses them. And if we notice, sure, Futurama lost a lot of the avatars, which is definitely going to hurt him, but he's almost completely replaced the number of man spam here. It'll be very, very hard for BartJones to turn this around. Not entirely impossible, but it will definitely be tough. The Gunwalkers are a good note to deal with the man spam. The Buzzer Hives are a good note to deal with the man spam. He still has a good number of tripods, and he has 2 Devastator warships, which kind of act as the artillery for the Scrin units. They will be very useful in taking out these avatars, and these Buzzer Hives are sort of worth their weight in gold. They can do a good amount of damage and soak up a lot of the shots of this crazy amount of man spam from Futurama. And the other thing to note is both players have run out of Tiberium for the most part. Futurama is probably hurting a bit more because he keeps using this man spam, and sure, he has those 2 Tiberium spikes, but he is eventually going to run out of money. The one click does call out stopping a whole bunch of these avatars as well as a stealth tank, and it looks like BartJones may have just turned this around. Futurama had this massive oppressive force on the base of BartJones, and BartJones using his Defender's Advantage to his advantage, gaining him the second win for the game, for the series, and moving us on to round 3. I will see you there, Commander. Here we are, Commander, in round 3. The map is Pipeline Problems. I've got some pipeline problems. And the score is 2-0, with BartJones taking the first and second rounds. This round is sponsored by My ADH. Is that blue? Starting us off on the top-hand side of the map, wearing the yellow robes and the GI gloves, the cat conspirator, BartJones. Last but certainly not least, on the bottom side of the map, wearing the teal robes, sporting the nod gloves, the man looking to rehome his cat, Futurama. Both fighters ready? Begin! The second round looking super promising for Futurama. He had the map control, he had the micro, he had the macro, and the units. He also spent much of the game as the aggressor. but he could not break through the defenses of BartJones, ultimately winning BartJones the round, bringing our score to 2-0, like I mentioned before. Both players have started with the same openers, grabbing their cranes, grabbing their blue Tiberium, which is unusual for this map to have that much blue Tiberium early on, but what that also means is that the game gets kick-started. It gets moved into high drive, into layer units early on, which will be nice to see. Another thing that's also really nice that you need to get done on this one is you need to scout with that blue Tiberium field. It is very easy to push in a rush early on. BartJones deciding to switch to GDI this time around. Maybe he feel like he just didn't get the purchase he had with the man spam, with the tanks versus the Nod faction, so he decided to go something a bit heavier. I suspect we are going to see Pitbull versus Bike Buggy, one of the standard skirmishes early on in the beginning. The scout happens for Futurama into BartJones. He's going to notice that BartJones is already moving into the natural expansion, into his first natural expansion, that is with Futurama not too far behind. Blue Tiberium is almost gone for both players. We are going to start to see some production increases here in a minute. The Pitbull causes the MCV to pack up and the Hand and Nod to come out for some defense. There are also some APCs trying to get over into Futurama's base to poke around to look to see what is there. Maybe he's anticipating more man spam, and that doesn't look too far off just yet. There's a little bit of man spam to support this Scorpion tank moving into the center of the map. One Scorpion tank versus multiple Pitbulls is not a good match for that Scorpion tank, but he is going to use the macro, or the micro, I should say, in order to save that one unit. However, that is going to cost him a little bit of time since he has to send that unit back for repairs. It's not going to delay his natural expansion. It looks like too much. There is enough man spam here to protect the natural expansion of Futurama here. The one thing to note is, other than this flame tank taking down the blue Tiberium refineries of Futurama, that's going to be a little bit detrimental. That means that tank, or that harvester, is going to travel that much longer. He wasn't able to stop it in time to stop a crazy amount of that blue Tiberium harvesting, considering there's only that, but losing a refinery is not cheap. And keeping at least one harvester there with one refinery is not a bad idea, because that blue Tiberium will eventually come back. Futurama deciding to go on the offensive, moving into the natural expansion of BartJones. BartJones not really having anything here to defend his main base. No watchtowers out quite yet, and that's why he's not been building anything. He has a mammoth tank ready to go. This man spam did go down much faster than I expected. It looks like he had a sniper team in anticipation for the man spam. Futurama moving forward to take out the refinery of his opponent with no luck. Oh, that, I didn't realize that at all. It looks like BartJones was sneaky. BartJones took the refinery of Futurama, forcing Futurama to kill his own refinery. That is super funny. I did not see that at all. APCs and mammoth tanks are here on the front lines. It looks like it was enough to stave off this crazy amount of man spam. The infantry units for GDI, as sort of a rule of thumb, are a bit stronger than the Nod faction. The first move for BartJones, the first little bit of aggression for BartJones, moving into Futurama's base with these APCs, with his MCV, with all of these different defenses. It's not going to be enough, though, because the obelisk is here. That is a big blow to BartJones. Losing that mammoth tank is not cheap. The block calls out, or comes out. Words are hard. The block from the power plant comes out to protect this obelisk. I did it. I made words happen. I got there eventually. Watchtower for the GDI player is here. The scouting does get called out. I'm not sure how that's beneficial. I would have popped mine down just a little bit more, but maybe he's just trying to position where he can. Juggernaut is out as well. Sonic Emitter is out. It looks like we are dealing with a base race fight over here on our hands. We have some avatars started for the Nod faction for Futurama. We have also several Juggernauts to deal with some of this man spam, to deal with some of these avatars. APC's mainly pushing out the man spam of Futurama over here, but Futurama still has a large number of forces. Granted, there are higher tier units. One player has gone for quantity with the man spam here and a mix of high quality units here like the avatars, and one has gone almost full high quality, taking these mammoth tanks, taking these sniper squads. There were snipers here at one point, but it does look like the skirmishing is continuing over here, and a flame tank does make it into the base of BartJones. Will the Sonic Emitter be able to stop it? The flame tank does rank up, and he gets the... oh no, the sell-off of the Sonic Emitter happens. Flame tank does finally get taken down, but after BartJones lost his operations center, that is not real great for him. One click does happen on the front lines over here, hurting this Sonic Emitter, hurting everything else in their ways. The Venoms are here to pick on what they can, and it's not looking real great for BartJones. This is a lot of forces to deal with. BartJones just constantly keeps getting pushed back this entire time. He is still able to harvest, so it's not all lost yet, but this is a lot to deal with. This man spam is just crazy to deal with. It's working very well for the Nod player. We do get some EMPs by the Silent Ones, who were able to stop a handful of those units, who were able to stop the Sonic Emitter for the time being, and the Sonic Emitter is still full HP and out here on the front line. Most of the units for Futurama have gone down. The defender's advantage working its way with BartJones once again, although it was close, and BartJones did lose a lot. He lost a good number of mana tanks, he lost a good number of Juggernauts. Meanwhile, his opponent, his Futurama, only lost a crazy amount of man spam. Looks like this refinery is still going over there. BartJones can send harvesters to go deal with that. I'm not sure why he is not grabbing that, but he is also probably dealing with a lot. It's easy for me to sit here and say, oh, why don't you just move this harvester over here, while he's doing everything, moving his units forward and getting this production. Armchair Commander is a dangerous spot to be in sometimes. Both players posturing, getting ready for the next offensive. I am curious to see what BartJones's approach is to this man spam. It looks like it's going to be these APCs, but I kind of worry if the APCs are going to be able to get close enough to deal enough damage with the avatars here. Although the avatars are pretty hurt, there's only 5 out, and if the Juggernauts can take out the avatars, the APCs can take out the rest, as well as the Zone Druid. The fight has begun once again for the center of the map. Both players are running out of resources. All of the Tiberian fields are relatively low, and usually when this happens and a major fight happens right afterwards, the player who loses this skirmish is usually the one that gets knocked out afterwards. We do have a 1-click coming down for BartJones, taking out a good number of that infantry that is going to be useful for him, but this is still a large number of avatars to deal with a handful of rocket squads. He does have the forces to take them out if he positions them just quite yet, but he might be just a little bit outnumbered right here. BartJones does decide to throw in the towel. He's decided that Futurama just has too much strength, just has too many avatars on that part of the map. This will move us on to round 4. Grab yourself some refreshment, Commander. I will see you there. Can you smell it, Commander? That is the smell of round 5 on Tournament Stadium. Today's round is brought to you by Underwater Basket Weaving. Deep dive into your hobbies. Over here on the bottom right-hand side of the map, wearing the yellow robes in the screen gloves, the man allegedly known as BartJones. For the moment, his opponent on the top left-hand side of the map, wearing the teal robes, sporting the Nod gloves, the smelling blood in the water, Futurama. Both fighters ready. BartJones going back to Scrin, not liking the outcome of the last round. Let's find out if Futurama has had time to warm up. Words are hard, and is ready for the Scrin of Bart. That doesn't sound right. Tournament Stadium only has one Tiberium spike per player. It also has 3 Tiberium fields per player. The only thing that is noteworthy, though, about that is the first field into the first natural expansion is quite a distance, leaving room for some sneakiness. Looks like, however, BartJones has decided to go north, and he has decided to go south. Maybe I am just dumb and misread the direction to go, which is entirely possible. It does look like it is meant to go in more of an L shape. I'm smart, is what I'm trying to say. Both players haven't decided to do anything quite sneaky just yet. They are just starting out. They are just getting their scouts. I take it back. One of the Harvester is going for the blue Tiberium, but I'm not really sure it's worth it. There's only 2 nodes of Tiberium here. He's only going to be able to get like half Tiberium. But I guess, you know, maybe that's worth the trip, and he denies it from his opponent, so that's not the worst thing. I guess he gets about 2/3 of Tiberium. That's nothing to sneeze at. So I don't know, there was a lot more there than I thought. So that's pretty worth it then. That early Tiberium is going to be a small bit of a boon. The only negative is the amount of travel time and the units associated with that. We do have skirmishing here in the tournament side in the middle of the map between these Scrin and Nod units. Scrin is pretty outnumbered here, but their units are a bit tougher than Nod. Scrin typically has middle-of-the-road units, which may sound bad, but in this sort of like 3-way tug-of-war where GDI has some of the stronger units but more expensive, and Nod has some of the faster units but less expensive, having a middle-of-the-road faction isn't the worst thing, and there's plenty of weird stuff to separate Scrin and the other factions from their other factions, and I don't just mean their sub-factions. We are starting off with some harassment on a Harvester here. First Harvester is gonna go down or not. He changes target. He just leaves that Harvester barely alive. I take it back. There's one buggy going for it. Second Harvester is gonna go down. That is really good for Futurama. Futurama might even be able to take a 3rd Harvester here. A 3rd Harvester with full Tiberium. That is an amazing, amazing amount of kills for the number of bike and buggy he was able to commit. That is going to set BartJones behind in this round. Other than that, once again, the players have started their posturing. Their natural expansions have begun to develop pretty evenly for both of each other, except for the loss of 3 Harvesters early on inside the second natural expansion of BartJones. We will see if that has any play later on. Looks like man spam is the way to go for Futurama. Futurama really favoring the man spam rush here, or the man spam that he's been able to get out, and it has been ultimately successful for him in a lot of different ways. He just couldn't stick the landing in that second/first round. Operations Center is out for the Nod faction, is out for Futurama, so maybe we will see some flame tanks, maybe we'll get to see some sneakiness here in a little bit. No upgrades have started quite yet, though, I believe. The Scents have come out for the Scrin player. Also another unit in which someone can do some sneakiness. As we saw before, he did try to take out the Tiberium spike and was pretty close to successful. He didn't quite make it towards the end. I think he should have committed towards the spike. There was no saving those units, but maybe he knows better than I do. It looks like this lightning spike is going to be able to get at least one free kill and then start focusing on the militia units, finally losing that scouting, losing that tower in the center of the map. But the other thing about that too is BartJones is going to know there are already some units on his side of the map. They are closer towards the center. The flame tank does get spotted by BartJones over here in the south, and that is going to be one dead flame tank. There's also one flame tank in the north, but I believe BartJones is going to see it coming. Yeah, there it is. The Scrin units are moving forward. The Seeker tanks are going for that flame tank. I'm not sure the flame tank can outrun the lighter Sprin tanks. It does not look to be the case. Second flame tank is here. It looks like these Sprin units in the north are going to get just a little bit outnumbered. Gunwalker moving forward with shields, so he can get that shield upgrade for the Gunwalker is not a bad idea, knowing that his opponent has been using a large amount of man spam. Rocket squads do ultimately take out the Gunwalker. He unfortunately is not a good boy. He is a dead boy. One good boy Gunwalker does level up in my heart, taking out the small amount of man, not quite spam, over in the north. Players starting to position to their secondary natural expansion, starting to get some tech upgrades, starting to get some higher tier units posturing to move around. Looks like avatars and man spam with a splash of Venoms is the solution for Futurama. He has been enjoying that, and he has seen relative success with that. Although these tripods are still a force to be reckoned with, especially with those shields. I think the key here is going to be the number of Gunwalkers that can be produced for the Scrin unit that man spam needs to be dealt with. And the Gunwalkers are really the best to deal with that. He does have a good number of them, so he's looking like he's in a little bit of a better spot than the Nod faction, than Futurama. But Futurama is producing several avatars, several flame tanks, several Venoms. There are some Venoms getting taken out almost for free. That is good for Scrin. He's going to know that A, he does have Venoms, and B, that is a free Venom kill. One Harvester taken almost all the way down by these Scrin units who are probably just looking to scout and do what damage they can. But they do stop this Harvester from harvesting, and that's another small thing that can help. Flame Tank is going to try to mount a small defense here in the south part of the map, but it's not going to be enough to take out 3 shielded Scrin Seeker tanks. Right now, it looks like BartJones is scouting and being annoying inside the base of Futurama. He's also moving over here in the north. He's moving into the main base of Futurama over here, getting some free kills on some buildings. Doesn't look like the same is for BartJones over on his main base. He probably did get bombed by something, or he probably did get bombed, but I didn't see what was taken out, if anything. Large amount of avatars in the center of the map, posturing, looking for their fight. Looks like BartJones did decide to back off after taking off a couple of power plants in the northern section of Futurama's map. And that is a large amount of Gunwalkers. He is ready for the man spam this time around, and I'm not sure Futurama has mixed it up enough. Not that this force is necessarily weak or anything like that, but BartJones is definitely posturing to deal with what he dealt with last time. And it's not like he's playing Black Hand where he has the particularly stronger units. I think he's primarily just using them as literal meat shield, and it's not a bad strategy against BartJones, against the Scrin units. Having those large amount of meat shields to soak up some of the shots of the tripods and some of the other units of the Scrin faction. However, there are a lot of Gunwalkers with shields here to deal with the man spam, and there's plenty of tripods here to fight off of the avatars, and more reinforcements are on their way as of right now. We have a Devastator warship moving its way into the fight. Looks like this game has progressed into in-game. We finally get the large fight. We have the sell-off of the MCV in the center of the map, and this looks to be an all or nothing, while several of the avatars do get stasis field. That is not great for Futurama. BartJones is absolutely crushing it right now. As long as those avatars don't come out at the wrong time, he has this fight potentially in the bag. The avatars are finally released. That is 5 to 6 avatars just ready to go against the forces of BartJones, and that might spell the end for him. This has gone back and forward very, very quickly. However, there are still plenty of Devastator warships here to wrap up the avatars. And there's not a whole bunch of rocket squads left to deal with the air units. It looks like BartJones has transitioned completely into air as of right now. This is a lot of militant squads, but they're not that big of a threat. Gunwalker does get taken down. Drone ship is doing what damage it can. avatars are getting hurt left and right. Beam Cannon does get taken out as well. Gunwalker's moving in, it looks like by himself. He's going to do his best. I don't think he's going to be able to do too much, but he is going to soak up some of the shots from the other people. These air units, there just isn't an answer to them just yet, other than there are a couple of rocket squads which are only going to be able to do so much. The beam cannons are able to hit the air units, but once again, one beam cannon is not going to be able to take out an assault carrier by itself. There is the reinforcements for the beam cannons right there. That is 4 beam cannons from Futurama. Plenty of avatars out. This fight has gone absolutely back and forward. Things have finally started to cool off just a little bit. Fake avatars and fake army are moving forward in order to get the scout on BartJones' forces to see what all he has left. It looks like Futurama has gone into mass beam tanks. Not really a bad idea. Help take out those air units. That'll be a big boon to him. So he's added beam cannons into his man spam and avatar combo. This could be the trick to taking out BartJones. BartJones is finally getting some tripods back on the field, but these airships are going to get taken out rather quickly. Looks like just one shot from the beam cannons takes a good chunk of the HP from the shield out, and BartJones just constantly keeps getting pushed back over and over. This is just so many avatars to deal with, and the GG gets called. BartJones sees the writing on the wall. He sees the beam tanks, which are the answer to his air units. He sees the avatars, and he sees the man spam. Futurama just holding his own in this one. I'm excited to see what will happen in the next round, Commander. This is round 5, and the map is Hampstead Garden. The score is 2-2, with Futurama tying up the match. Today's game is brought to you by Inverse Parachute. The only way is up. Our first fighter in the bottom left-hand corner, wearing the yellow robes in the string gloves, the Xeno himself, BartJones. Another moment, we will have his opponent in the top right-hand corner, wearing the teal robes, sporting the steel talon gloves, the man spam in the silver can, Futurama. Both fighters ready. Begin. Futurama looking in top shape today, showing off his 3-hit combo of man, avatar, and beam cannon. BartJones was just not able to withstand the assault this time around, giving Futurama the win. Hampstead Garden is a bit of a smaller map. It does not have blue Tiberium in the center, and because of how small it is, at least comparatively, each unit will count for just a little bit more. The natural expansions are a tiny bit further away than is normal, which means there is room for some sneakiness to happen. There is an EMP control center in the center though, so that is nice to grab, as well as, I believe there is just one Tiberium spike per player. That appears to be the case. It doesn't look like anybody has started off with anything sneaky just quite yet. They're both scouting just about the same time. They both have their war factories up about the same time, and I believe they have started their expansions about the same time. That is the case. Futurama is a tiny bit ahead, but that is not that big of a deal. It looks like BartJones went for a crane opener opposed to Futurama, who went with more of a standard opener. Maybe BartJones wants to continue to produce while he is moving his drone ship. But the other part of that though too is Futurama knows that he has this crane out as he is, actively shooting it, which means that he knows he's going to have increased production, so he's going to have to prepare for that one way or another. Both natural expansions are beginning to develop rather quickly for both players. Even with the crane, it appears to be that Futurama has been able to keep up. Scouts finally go down inside of BartJones' base. Futurama moving up to Titans to start off with. Maybe he is not worried about descents this early in the game, although I don't think we have seen a portal yet, so that is probably a safe bet. Good boy Gunwalker is out getting his first snack for the day. Looks like a garrison has taken up inside the natural expansion of Futurama by BartJones. That is a really annoying place to have units set up in. And there is the portal with the descents. Let's see if the descents can get anything sneaky off this time around. We've seen BartJones previously in other areas where he's been able to do some sneaky stuff with those descents, but there are MRTs here ready to deal with them. MRTs will be great against the descents, but not too great against these seeker tanks over here. This is a lot of seeker tanks, and a lightning spike has come down as well. These MRTs are probably not going to last too long. There is one Titan here, but that is still a lot of seeker tanks to deal with. MRTs did appear to have some man inside it, some infantry inside it. Nothing real major just yet. A second and third Titan have joined over on the right flank of BartJones, starting to take out the lightning spike, trying to move into the base. This should be a pretty even match between everything that is here, even though BartJones has defender's advantage, and he's put a warp sphere on the further part of the map, so I'm assuming we're probably going to see a couple more a couple more seeker tanks. It looks like BartJones is also expecting to get some air units. He's put down a plasma missile battery. I don't believe that is the case. He does have a little bit of scouting over here, so he can probably see that tech center. Second War Factory is out for the Steel Talon player, is out for Futurama. That's going to be useful for him. He is obviously going to be producing a good number of vehicles. Looks like we also have some Mammoth tanks and a whole lot of Titans, along with the MRTs to repair them. The air units, the bombers, the storm riders I should say, have moved into the natural expansion of Futurama over here. A battery does come down. It looks like Futurama was expecting something like that. He possibly had one already raring to go. They're not going to really find too much purchase. I don't believe they got a harvester, but I might have missed it right there. Skirmish has started down on the second natural expansion of BartJones. Futurama trying the best he can to move in there to stop him from harvesting, but there are Devourer tanks and tripods here to defend it. Futurama is just a little bit behind on the expansion, but BartJones has been stopped from moving into his expansion all the way. Shields are out for Titans. That is going to be, or for tripods, that is going to be a problem for the Titans, but the Titans do seem to be taking it down rather quickly. Titan does get taken out. It looks like 2 Titans are down, 1 tripod is down, 3 Titans are down. These Titans are just not staying up in time, but BartJones is losing units just as quickly as his opponent Futurama. Last little bit of Titans does finally get taken down by the tripod, but the tripod no longer has a shield. The husk gets destroyed by the pitbulls. That is not a bad move. Another pitbull does get taken out. It does look like Futurama has lost this skirmish. He's moving Mammoth tanks over into the left flank of BartJones, maybe hoping he can get something sneaky. Even getting that tip spike wouldn't be a bad thing. That is a lot of Mammoth tanks. Unfortunately, he did lose all of those Titans, but he has moved most of his base over to this natural expansion and has already set up for his secondary natural expansion. He's a little bit behind BartJones in this regard. BartJones is a little more established on his secondary natural expansion, but the other thing though too is his units are just a tiny, these tripods are just a little tiny bit slower and on the reaction time of it. Mammoth tanks do manage to take out the Tiberium spike. That's not a major win, but it will add up over time for Futurama and will be a little bit of a negative for BartJones because he won't have that income when those Tiberium fields eventually go out. And the longer it is out, the more BartJones is ticking, or the more Futurama's is ticking. And so he'll be able to get more. The one click does get called out for all 4 of the Mammoth tanks, and these tripods are going to be able to outnumber and probably crush some of these Mammoth tanks. I'm actually not sure if tripods can crush Mammoth tanks. Meanwhile, while that's happening, more Mammoth tanks are moving over on the right-hand side. The air units have started out for BartJones over on the right-hand side of the map. Mammoth tanks getting taken down left and right. They're not going to stand a chance against that many tripods. The other side, though, too, is BartJones is losing his natural expansion. He has lost his resources. One click does get called out on the harvester, and it's going to be able to save them, but only for so long. The assault carriers are just absolutely hammering these Mammoth tanks, and there's not much they can do. There is finally a pitbull here who does end up with a rank up, but he's not going to last too much longer either, especially since the drone ship has switched over. A secondary drone ship has moved into the natural expansion of BartJones, pushing these Mammoth tanks back, but the Mammoth tanks did their damage. They did delay the harvesting of that natural expansion. If he can keep it up and not lose too many units and continue that, that'll work out really well in his favor. Having that Tiberium spike is his advantage as of right now, unless the drone ships and all of these tripods decide to take it out. It looks like Futurama is about to have a problem over on his left flank, or BartJones' right flank. Forces of BartJones have decided to turn around. They don't know what is inside Futurama's base. They were able to get that last mammoth tank, and they are repositioning as of right now. They might try to grab this Tiberium spike in order to get a little bit of revenge, but there's a good chance he's not even worried about it. 2 drone ships and a couple of units are moving into the old main base of Futurama, taking out some of this infrastructure, some of these harvesters. AA battery does get called out. That is going to be good for Futurama. He's going to be able to take out a good number of those drone ships, but not before losing a good number of infrastructure. Both players posturing, beginning the dance, trying to figure out where the final battle will happen. BartJones pulling forces out, not wanting to get pinched in that corner, not a bad idea. He was able to get what he could and got out almost for free. Lost a couple of units here and there due to the AA, and he left 1 Devourer tank here to wipe out the last Harvester. If he loses that Devourer tank, it's not that big of a deal. A Devourer for a Harvest tank is not a bad cost, but it would be nice if he can get it out, although he is still getting free kills, like on these power plants. Looks like these units did end up getting caught out. The slingshots are here to attack the drone ships, and they are doing a devastating amount of damage. Unfortunately, the tripod is also beginning to target them down. Only 1 slingshot is left. However, he did grab his first rank in the heroic tier. Minor engagements on the map here and there. It looks like BartJones is using his buzzers, his fast-moving buzzers, to get some scouting out, and the natural expansion of BartJones is being pressed upon again. Futurama is just absolutely keeping up the aggression. He has even moved his MCV over to the natural expansion of BartJones, saying, "I'm going to make a stand right here." Futurama, learning his lesson from the last time, has plenty of slingshots here to deal with the assault carriers when they move in, but these Devastator warships are going to be a bit of a problem. It does look like he is starting to focus down those Devastator warships. That is not a bad thing, and these slingshots are going down left and right. Mammoth tanks are going down left and right. This is not looking good for Futurama. He does have a good number of units here. He does have his base here, but so does BartJones, and BartJones seems to have a more established army here. It looks like the cultists are... Oh, and there goes the GG for Futurama. He sees that he has lost this round, that BartJones just has too many units to deal with, and losing that mammoth tank early on or later on in the match was the final nail in the coffin for him. Things are heating up, Commander. I will see you in round 6. Welcome to Abandoned Subway. Last round, BartJones grabbed a win, moving the score to 3-2 in his favor. This skirmish is brought to you by Sofa Sprinting, racing to the kitchen during commercial breaks like a pro. Starting us off with our first racer in the bottom right-hand corner, wearing the yellow robes in the scrin gloves. Here he is, BartJones. The other racer in the bottom left-hand corner, wearing the teal robe, sporting the GDI gloves, we have Futurama. Both fighters ready. Begin. Futurama mixing it up this time around, looking for another answer to the scrin forces of BartJones. Is the powerhouse faction GDI the answer he is looking for? Let's find out! Both players have started off with standard openers, no crazy portal rushes, nothing silly like a, I guess you can't do MRTs with GDI, but, you know, nothing silly that going forward anyways. We do have a couple of Tiberium spikes on the map. Abandoned Subway. There's a safety spike and a more aggressive spike in the north. There is blue Tiberium in the south next to both players, so that will be something they will try to contest over. There's also a good amount of geometry, making it difficult to just go straight through that. Pillbox has set up over there to watch that blue Tiberium for Futurama. It's not going to be able to do too much to these forces, but the important part is that it is a scout for multiple reasons. It's going to see all of these tanks making their way over to the base of Futurama, who I'm not sure is prepared just quite yet. He does have a couple of APCs, but that's not going to be able to do a crazy amount against all of these Seeker tanks. First Watchtower does come out for Futurama, and it looks like BartJones has begun his early harvesting of the blue Tiberium. That will be good for him. That'll give him a little bit of a boost, but right now Futurama has bigger problems on his hand. He does not have an answer so far to these Seeker tanks in his base. I'm not sure why he's sending the APCs away. He does get a sell-off on his words are hard, on his barracks, and does start producing some tanks of his own, which are definitely going to be helpful, but I'm not sure they're going to save his harvester in time. This is a good number of Seeker tanks. The Seeker tanks are prevented from reverse moving out with these power plants, and it looks like the main units, the APCs for Futurama, has moved over into the base of BartJones while this assault is continuing. That is why those APCs continue to look like there was at least one rocket squad in one or all of these right here, and they are continuing to pick on some of these harvesters, continuing to pick on some of the Seeker tanks, and just being a nuisance. Meanwhile, Futurama has beaten off the assault of BartJones inside his base, and I believe only lost the one harvester for all of those Seeker tanks. APCs do manage to get a kill on one of the Seeker tanks, and a tower does come out for BartJones to assist in knocking out these units. One APC is going to make it out in time unless the Seeker tanks decide to turn around. I believe this one was a misclick. I'm not sure why you would send one guy there to his doom, but maybe he was just looking for a scout. Maybe he decided those APCs were no longer useful to him. Seeker tanks, for the most part, relatively uncontested. There's not enough tanks here or rocket squads to really deal with them. There are two tanks out, and the two tanks can fight two Seeker tanks, but they're going to have a lot harder time facing 6 Seeker tanks. This is a large number of Seeker tanks, and so far, Futurama still does not have the answer to that. He is producing a little bit of man spam over here, a little bit of rocket squads, which are not a bad solution to that. Those tanks are going to be able to put in a lot more work than I anticipated. I know the GDI forces are strong, and typically the Skren forces are mid, at least when it comes to their main battle tanks. Not that the Skren tanks are bad or anything like that. They're just mid. I guess you would call normal, other than the ability to hit air units, which is super helpful to them. The assault is continuing over to BartJones' natural expansion, but there is a buzzer hive here to start taking out some of these rifleman squads, but it looks like the micro is here to get the buzzer squads as they come in. Secondary buzzer hive is out here. It looks like Futurama is able to grab the blue Tiberium while he is continuing this assault. Photon cannon is about to go down. These buzzer hives need to be the primary target for Futurama. They're going to do a crazy amount of damage. Gunwalkers are moving to deal with the man spam of Futurama, as well as a insane amount of buzzers from the 3 buzzer hives dealing with the man spam. It looks like the plan for dealing with Skren is just same thing, but different faction, where he is going to find some sort of combination of man spam mixed in with other units to fight the Skren forces. That has worked in the past with Nod, who just kind of historically have weaker infantry units, so I guess there's no reason to say that it can't work for Futurama over here. The one click, the stasis field does get called out, but it doesn't get too much. It gets a handful of rocket squads, which I guess were their main target, the main thing that they were worried about, as well as one predator tank. There is a tripod out here for BartJones, and it's going to be able to put in some work, but this is still a lot of units, still a lot of man spam. The blink does happen for the tripod. The Mastermind able to save the tripod at least a little bit longer, but it is too little too late, and the one click does get called out for the tripod that is going to be able to save him while they begin to assault the MCV, the drone ship of BartJones. Losing this drone ship will not be good early on. I do not believe he has a crane or anything to replace it quite yet. This will be pretty detrimental. The Skrin forces need a air factory out in order to reproduce their drone ship, and it doesn't appear that BartJones has that air factory. He does have a T3 out, so he is not out of this fight yet, and he has a handful of harvesters. The biggest problem is going to be, at some point, he is going to have to long distance harvest. One Mastermind does grab one of the tanks, forcing them to kill it, and it does go down rather unceremoniously, but that seems to be all of that he's getting right there. Futurama content with just backing up into his forces and maybe playing this a little bit slower because he knows that he cannot rebuild that MCV, that BartJones cannot rebuild that MCV. So right now the ball is in his court, and as long as he doesn't fumble really hard, so far this is looking positive for him. But like I said before, the T3 is out for BartJones, so it's not like he's defenseless or anything like that. He can still produce plenty of units, but he's going to run out of resources. He has to long distance harvest this green Tiberium, which is going to cost him literally time and money. He does still have a little bit of forces here in the south, and he's got a little bit of Tiberium left here in the north, but it is really only a matter of time. BartJones sensing that, trying to position, trying to look for some sort of hole in the armor of Futurama over here. Futurama looks like he is moving into a bit of a base race. That is not a bad plan. Move his forces in, maybe try to take these guys out while moving your MCV into the natural expansion of BartJones, since BartJones cannot begin that. The main assault has started. A couple of gunwalkers are taken down almost immediately. One tripod does get the blink from the Mastermind, but is half HP. Another tripod does go down. The Buzzer squads are here to try to save it, but they just don't have enough. The man spam is very strong against Vanilla Skrin so far. MCV does finally get deployed and moved out closer towards the center, moving the base race into that natural expansion even sooner. It doesn't look like BartJones has an answer to this problem he is having. He does have a lot of tripods, he does have shields, but this is a crazy amount of mammoth tanks, a crazy amount of man spam, and they are on his front door and here to stay. The MCV moving up even further. BartJones decides to call in the GG. The man spam forces mixed in with the GDI powerhouse, and the mammoth tanks are just too much for him to deal with. It'll be interesting to see what Futurama does in the next round. Is he going to stick with GDI? Is BartJones going to mix it up, or is he going to stick with Skrin? I will see you in that round, Commander. Moving into round 7, Commander, the map is Tournament Dust Bowl, and the score is tied up once again at 3-3. This round is brought to you by Couch Commando Training, mastering the art of remote control warfare. Commander number 1 on the bottom side of the map, wearing the yellow robes in the nod gloves. This is BartJones. Commando number A in the top side of the map, wearing the teal robe, sporting the Skrin gloves. Here is Futurama. Both fighters ready. Begin. BartJones and Futurama mixing it up faction-wise, with Bart taking Nod and Futurama taking Skrin. Will this be a mirror matchup of the first couple of rounds, or does one player have an ace up their sleeve? Tournament Dust Bowl only has 1 Tiberium spike per player and 3 Tiberium fields per player. It starts them out in the center of the Tiberium field, so they sort of have to double back. I take it back. They move in an L shape, moving down or up over here, because I am intelligent. Right now, it looks like BartJones is getting off some really good scouting on Futurama seeing what he is up to so far. Everything is standard, nothing sneaky, nothing crazy from either faction just yet. They're just moving over to their natural expansions. Another thing to note about this map is there is no blue Tiberium once again. So once again, no sneaky Tiberium while you are fighting your opponent. Just the EMP field, which doesn't seem to get used quite as much. I wonder if they just decided collectively to not use it, or if during this patch, EMP fields just don't go well with the builds. I know at one point they were really powerful to have, but I believe as soon as you take it, the other opponent can see what the timer is left on it and can ultimately destroy it, and they seem to usually be in the center of the map. Futurama taking a garrison right by the EMP control center. Maybe he is worried about BartJones grabbing that to start off with. It doesn't seem like BartJones really has any interest in that quite yet. We have Seeker tanks versus Scorpion tanks over here in the center. Scorpion tanks are a bit outnumbered, but they can do a decent amount of damage to these already damaged Seeker tanks. Both natural expansions appear to be developing nicely. Double War Factory for BartJones, and I'm assuming double Warp Spear, nope, Warp Spear and Portal for the Scrin faction, so we're probably going to see some descents going. Buggy moving in for the Scout on top of Futurama. Minor skirmish between Scorpion tanks and the Scrin Seeker tanks over here. Micro coming out to save one of those tanks. I take it back, it does end up taking it down, but 2 Scrin tanks get taken down for the price of one of these Scorpion tanks. Micro was just a little bit better on BartJones' side when it came to that. Those may have also been the Scrin tanks that were hurt from earlier. So far we have only seen Bike, no real Buggy just yet. Maybe his plan is to go Scorpion take Bike, and maybe he's worried about those descents, which he does have in great number, and he did scout out the portal, so he's probably going to assume that Futurama is going to go a good amount of man spam, and he has been doing that pretty frequently in this show match. He's been using a large number of man spam from every faction he has played, so it'll be interesting to see how he mixes that in with the Scrin faction. Shields are out for the Seeker tanks, giving them just that little bit more of defense, and it looks like the laser capacitors are out for the Scorpion tanks, if I'm correct. Maybe not, because they're grayed out, so I'm wrong there. They also don't have the dozer upgrade or whatnot. I believe we have our first flame tank out. He's moving over to the left-hand side of the map, hoping to get something sneaky. T3 for the Nod faction for BartJones just came out, while T3 for the Scrin faction has been here quite a minute. First tripod is out. We do have Black Hand squads moving into the top right-hand side of the map. I'm not sure why the Seeker tanks are running away. Maybe they just can't find the purchase they need. Maybe they're expecting more forces to show up, which they are right here. And I suspect the Black Hand is probably going to go for the Tiberium spike of Futurama. Not a bad strategy, especially if we can get those Seeker tanks out of the way and not have to worry about them. The other thing, though, he is going to have to worry about is these descents. If they are able to get close enough to really anything, they can do a devastating amount of damage. Black Hat squad moving over on the left hand side, trying to see what he can see, using him more as a scout. I feel like that's a bit of an expensive scout, but they do take out almost the complete shield on one of these tripods almost by themselves, so they're a pretty beefy unit. So they can do a good amount of damage. Seeker tanks moving into the secondary natural expansion of BartJones, possibly turning around to go save their Tiberium spike, but it's going to be too little too late. That tip spike is down. These harvesters do get caught out by BartJones over on the left-hand side of the field, long distance harvesting, and getting attacked by these tripods. Flame tank still trying to be sneaky on the left-hand side of the map, while a flame tank sneaks into the back base of Futurama, ranking up and getting the T3. That is huge. Beam cannon upgrades are here, as well as the dozer upgrade for this, the Nod tanks, words are hard for the Scorpion tanks of the Nod faction. Able to get a good number of stuff, a good number of purchase, be able to get the T3 dealing a lot of damage to everything, almost killing the nerve center, but ultimately backing off. Second flame tank is here, only attacking harvesters. He might have enough time to take out the refinery of Futurama over on the left-hand side of the map. Meanwhile, a assault has continued into the natural expansion of BartJones on his side of the map, but it's nothing real big. Avatars are going to be able to stop a good number of what's left of these Seeker tanks. The primary force for BartJones is protecting his natural expansion. Find a little bit of Seeker tanks to get taken down on the right-hand side of the map. Nothing real major to deal with for BartJones. He has plenty of forces. He's done a lot of damage to the Skrin forces, and it looks like he is just... Nope, both players are pretty even when it comes to taking their natural expansion, but the forces of the Nod faction seem to be in much greater number here. However, like I've mentioned before, the Nod faction typically goes with lighter, cheaper, fast units, like their main battle tank and their Scorpion tank. So even if they outnumber, they could potentially not out, I don't want to say skill, but out damage the Skrin units. He is using these Black Hand units to great effect, taking down plenty of objects here. I think this Black Hand was forgotten and is still attacking what is left of, or I guess nothing now. Yeah, they're just attacking the ground over there. I'm not sure how they have that much fuel, but who knows? It's the future. We do have some real sneaky stealth tanks over here on the left-hand side of the map for BartJones, moving into the territory of the Skrin forces of Futurama. And while he's doing this, he's starting an assault with his Scorpion tanks. Nothing real major, but just some minor harassment over here in order to distract the fact that he is attacking with these stealth tanks. Stealth tanks are going to be able to find some purchase. Stealth tanks are going to be able to get one kill on a harvester. One harvester getting taken down by the forgotten Black Hand squad over on the right-hand side of the map. Stealth tanks almost able to get a secondary harvesters. The tower does get finally put out for some defense, but it is only a buzzer hive. I'm not sure how much damage it is going to be able to do to these Seeker tanks. I say that as a stealth tank goes down. Futurama deciding to target the Tiberium spike of BartJones over here, but I'm not sure that's the best move, because moving into the main base is BartJones with his Scorpion tanks. Going to be able to get a good number of kills, not going to be able to save that stealth tank, unfortunately, but BartJones is on top of it. He's been able to take out building after building and structure after structure. A full harvester of Tiberium is going to get taken down in the natural expansion of Futurama by Futurama. And it looks like they're moving back and forward and stealing each other's Tiberium. I think that's kind of funny seeing that. I don't think either harvester is going to live through that. That's another full Tiberium per player lost, which means they're kind of even on that front. One Scorpion tank is probably going to get caught out by these descents and some of these remaining forces. BartJones is kind of in a bad spot here where his forces are split because of the buildings, because of this inner part of this, I hesitate to say city, of this small town. Looks like the tripods are here and the main force is here for Futurama. He's deciding to move in, but it looks like BartJones has taken a note from Futurama and has moved into man spam for the Nod faction, which we saw work really well for Futurama in the past. Let's see if it does the same for BartJones. The one click does get called out of the stasis field, but it doesn't really catch anything other than a couple infantry units. Avatars are here and they're guarded by this disruptor tower. The tripod is out with the one click, so he is invulnerable right now. Most of these tripods are down. This is a lot of husks on the field. We are starting to get shots from the Devastator warships over on the left-hand side of the map, getting what they can, and it looks like it's not enough. Futurama knows where this is going. It is going to his end. It is going to his loss. He decides to conserve his energy for the next round. Blow for blow, this show match is continuing into the next round. Here we are, Commander, in round 7. Our map is Tournament Airstrip. The score is now 4-3, with BartJones taking the lead. This skirmish is powered by Mystery Meat Diner. You never know what's on the menu, but you're always in for a surprise. Over here in the top left-hand corner of the map, wearing the yellow robes and the string gloves, the I Can Man Spam 2, BartJones. Just a moment, we have his opponent on the top right-hand corner of the map, wearing the teal robes, sporting the so-cotton gloves, the jack of all factions, Futurama. Both fighters ready? Begin! Tournament Airstrip is a bit of a different map. There are only 2 tip spikes per player. One on the left, one on the right, and there is a contested Tiberium spike in the center for the players or the fighters to fight over. We also have a small amount of blue Tiberium in the north that will be useful for whoever can control it. And the last noteworthy thing is that the Tiberium on the secondary natural expansion for each player is starting out much smaller than you would normally see on these type of maps. Futurama has already grabbed the second Tiberium spike for himself in the center. That's going to be good for him. He gets a 500 bonus per Tiberium spike that he takes for the first time. I believe as of right now, if you take that Tiberium spike back with an engineer of your own, like if your opponent controls it, I don't think you get that 500 bonus. Master Leaf was talking about potentially adding that later on. We will see if that happens. Both players have moved on to their natural expansions. It looks like BartJones is favoring this crane opener where he can build what I'm assuming is his refinery while he's making his way over here. And then my guess is that he pops down the drone and then the drone starts building the sorry, excuse me. And then the drone starts building the power plant instead, since that is the faster build. Would be my assumption anyways. As the crane is done, and there is the refinery. Yeah, so that is his plan for the moment. Right now, I don't believe BartJones knows that Futurama has taken this Tiberium spike in the middle. Both players getting their scouting off. I don't know if BartJones has seen the natural expansion of his Zocom opponent just quite yet. Not sure it matters. He does appear to be ahead on the infrastructure game, BartJones that is, with Futurama not too far behind. Nobody has decided to grab the blue Tiberium yet in the north. There's enough to probably have a full Tiberium's worth, and never mind, speak of the devil, there is the harvester for Futurama going forward to go ahead and grab it. BartJones has now noticed that the Tiberium spike is taken over by Futurama. That is unfortunate for him. These scouts may get caught out here by the buzzer squads, but no, they do actually win that skirmish with the buzzer squads. They were able to take them out in time. They had just enough time to fight the buzzer squads. As soon as those buzzers get close, for those who don't know, they're usually very, very good at taking out any of the rifleman squads or any of the standard infantry of just about anyone. Yeah, just about any of the factions. But if they have time to prepare or time to shoot beforehand, then at least with GDI they can take that out. A couple of seeker tanks moving over here in the south, but it looks like Futurama already has the answer to this small assault, this small prod of his armor. He has plenty of APCs and plenty of rockets to take that out. We do get the backup for one of the seeker tanks trying to save at least one of those units. That'll be helpful later on in the game, and it looks like Futurama has started his own poke in the northern section of the map. I believe he's going for the natural expansion. There is plenty of answers here. There's plenty of answers here to deal with that assault incoming. BartJones deciding to move to his secondary natural expansion just a little bit ahead of Futurama. Gunwalker's out here to support the MCV. MCV having to land because of the forces here of Futurama. Futurama once again going after the... No, he's going after the Gunwalkers with the APCs instead. I guess he doesn't have enough rockets just quite yet, and I say that, and there goes the rockets. One click comes out on the rockets, and the majority of the force for Futurama. Futurama has called in reinforcements in order to buy himself some time, but they're probably going to get taken out just as soon as they spawn. And there they go, but they may have bought them just enough time for the stasis field to come out. Another foxhole is down here for Futurama that's going to be able to help him back up just a little bit further, and he has plenty of Predator tanks here to come to his aid and take out this crazy number of Gunwalkers. It looks like right now Futurama is on top of things, but this could still turn around for BartJones. BartJones deciding to go ahead and start his refining process of the natural expansion down there. A couple rocket squads choosing to not go for that harvester, instead fight these units over here. That is the wise call. One tripod almost gets taken out, but it looks like he just barely gets taken out. A mastermind does grab a tank, forcing his allies to kill that unit. BartJones has completely taken over this part of the map, has pushed back the forces of Futurama. His base being here gives him plenty of advantages. He's able to place down these buzzer hives and replenish forces. That, and he is closer to reinforcing his troops than Futurama is. That's the end of that assault for now. It looks like Futurama still has a good number of Predator tanks to deal with, the Gunwalkers to deal with the tripods of BartJones, but BartJones is not standing idly by. He's producing plenty of other units, plenty of other tripods to deal with this assault, and Futurama losing those units isn't a small thing. BartJones does take out the Tiberium spike in the center of the map, and excuse me, does take out the Tiberium spike in the center of the map, stopping that small advantage for Futurama. It looks like the infrastructure for BartJones is, even after all of that, is still a little bit ahead of Futurama. Futurama probably went a little bit further into his units rather than his harvesters itself, thinking maybe that Tiberium Spike was going to give him the advantage. It looks like we have our other assault moving its way. The first Devastator Warship is out here to support the tripods, is out here to support the massive amount of Gunwalkers. And it looks like the man spam is a little bit lighter this time around, favoring tanks more over than anything else. Futurama trying something different other than the man spam of some of the GDI factions, just trying to use some of the tanks versus these units of Skrin. Skrin is picking off units left and right. That Devastator Warship, it doesn't look like there's really an answer to. Those rocket squads can't quite reach it, and these tripods are moving in. I suspect Futurama is going to end up losing another force here. Several tanks have gone down. These tripods are just a whole lot to deal with. Reinforcements coming in the north, but I think it's going to be too little too late. There is too much here to take everything out. That small amount of man spam only saved one whole Predator tank. Futurama's forces are looking a little anemic as of right now, while BartJones' forces continue to grow. BartJones is a big fan of that defender's advantage, is a big fan of these shields and using them to the best of his ability, using his micro to save those units and transition them in and out. And the shield gives him more opportunities to that. It gives him more time to do that. Devastator warships targeting down the rocket squads and the AA battery of Futurama, possibly posturing, possibly moving into the base of Futurama here soon. Minor scouting of the first natural expansion by buzzer squads. They do get taken out by a watchtower, and the assault has begun on the secondary natural expansion of Futurama. BartJones backing up just a little bit, getting some reinforcements, and Futurama calls in the GG. That is the end of round 8, Commander. These rounds are continuing to heat up. I will see you in the next one. This is round 8, Commander, and the map is Desert Rush. Last round, BartJones increased his lead by bringing us to a score of 5-3. This round is brought to you by Memory Foam Shoes. They remember where you've been, even if you don't. Starting us off on the top-hand side of the map, wearing the yellow robes, now in the Reaper 17 gloves, the practitioner of Defender's Advantage, BartJones. His sparring partner for the match on the bottom side of the map, wearing the teal robes, sporting the Zocom gloves, the permanent aggressor, Futurama. Both fighters ready. Begin. We are on an even smaller map this time around. That means even less resources for the players to grab, making each encounter all that more important in deciding who ultimately wins the game. There is two sets of blue Tiberium here as well, one on the left side, one on the right, so basically one for each player, although Futurama has garrison troops in there already to get ready for any little grabbing of resources that BartJones might try to do. He's trying to capitalize on controlling that blue Tiberium. Not a bad idea at all. There is an EMP control center in the center of the map that nobody has decided to use amongst any of these rounds, and there appears to be two Tiberium spikes that are relatively safe for each player to grab. Speaking of each player, they are both moving into their natural expansions rather nicely. It doesn't look like BartJones went with the crane opener this time around. He just went with a standard move your drone ship over and slap down resources. So once again, both these players are trying out builds, tinkering around with stuff, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. This not being the world's most serious match, they definitely want to get all the tries they can in for when they do go to try out some of these tournaments. First set of APCs are moving into the natural expansion of BartJones, starting some early harassment on the shielded harvesters. Looks like there are some rocket squads in here as well, and some descents to hopefully try and chase off the APCs. Both APCs are about half HP. That photon cannon doing quite a large amount of damage to the APCs. Third APC almost goes down, but the micro for Futurama is definitely here. A fourth one comes to reinforce, but I believe the entire force is trying to back out. The scout gets killed for Futurama over on the right-hand side of the map, but with Futurama moving into this aggressive position, it gives him time to grab the resources he needs to grab this blue Tiberium, and he almost ends up with a full load of blue Tiberium. If he can grab the Tiberium on the right-hand side of the map, that'll be even better, but that'll be two harvesters long-distance harvesting at the same time. Buzzer Hive comes out for the natural expansion of BartJones over here, maybe getting ready for some man spam like he has seen in the past. So far, it looks like both players have started off with not a whole bunch. Reaper 17 moving into the Ravengers, having different units from the normal Strin faction. BartJones deciding to mix it up a little bit here with these Ravengers. It is really nice to see them and to try to see if they can get any use out of them. I don't think I've seen people use them too much, so it'll be really nice to see if he can find some find a purpose for those Ravengers. Does look like BartJones takes the blue Tiberium on the right-hand side of the map and getting away relatively unscathed. He might get caught by this force of Futurama going down the center of the map, but it is unlikely. Descent's trying to de-garrison the units that are over there on the left-hand side of the blue Tiberium. Looks like War Spear does get targeted down. It is at half HP, but there are a lot of units here for them to fight. The block does come out for the reactor, protecting BartJones' War Factory, and we also have a Storm Column out here to protect as well. T3 is right behind the Warp Sphere, so that's probably why he's stalwartly defending that, and defending that just about as hard as he can. Futurama, if not careful, is going to get surrounded and or lose some units. Seeker tanks are moving over on the main base, the old main base of Futurama, doing what damage they can to a harvester. One harvester does go down on the left-hand side. The assault in the center of the map, the assault on the old main base of BartJones does get called off. Rocket squads are in a bad spot right here. Unfortunately, buzzer squads get teleported ahead to knock out all of those rocket squads, gaining some levels of rank. Two of them gaining some levels of rank. Another set of rocket squads going down. These buzzers getting a large purchase from just what they got. They got way more bang for their buck than BartJones probably originally anticipated, but was probably at the very least helpful for it, or thankful for it. One click does come down, putting a little bit of blue or Tiberium on the map. Probably just a preemptive strike for resources when he needs it. The assault is continuing on the main base, on the natural expansion of BartJones. One tripod does finally get taken down. The stasis field does come out, blocking a couple of the rockets and a couple of the tanks. That looks like that's going to turn the course of this fight quite significantly. There are just too many tripods here to deal with. Granted, Zocom did switch into air units, but it was too little too late. He lost too many units early on and understood the importance of how small this map is, how little resources you have. When you lose that many troops, it's just too detrimental. He also lost some harvesters in the background that were a little bit harder to see as well. That does give BartJones another point for this round. Things are starting to push Futurama on his back foot. Let's see how he does in the next one, Commander. Welcome to Lost Oasis. The score is 6-3 in BartJones' favor. This confrontation is sponsored by Invisible Fence Company, keeping nothing out since we think it's still inside. Starting us off in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, wearing the yellow robes, in the screen gloves, the stick into his guns, BartJones. Patiently waiting for his comeback on the top right-hand side of the map, wearing the teal robes, sporting the black hand gloves, the I didn't hear no bell, Futurama. Both fighters ready? Begin! In these rounds, we have found two different tactics work for each fighter. Futurama favoring the man spam to take on Skrin, and BartJones using his mastery of Defender's Advantage to whittle down his opponent's forces until he can secure himself a victory. I suspect that with the Black Hand faction picked by Futurama, we are probably going to see some man spam here again. Both players' Naturals expansions are developing relatively normally. There is no Crane once again for the Skrin faction. It looks like he has thrown away that strategy. For whatever reason, he doesn't like it, or he just wants to try a different build order. We are unsure of yet. Also, no Flame Tank Rush, no Operations Center, and complete sell-off of the MCV for Futurama, at least not just yet. I have seen other players wait until they get one refinery down on the natural expansion and then start their Flame Tank rush, and they found great purchase in that. It looks to be that BartJones is going for the blue Tiberium in the center early on. He's already got a bunch of Seeker Tanks as well as these Gunwalkers here ready to go. He's also engaging the forces of, well, I say forces, but the whole two units of Futurama over here. But the important part is that he is grabbing that blue Tiberium for himself. There should be more than enough there for a full load of Tiberium, which will give him a tiny bit of a boost. Words are hard. Futurama, seeing that there are forces up here, has put his refinery in low power mode in order to stop that harvester from coming out, to save it from getting attacked before his forces could arrive. Looks like Futurama has also taken the garrison down on the blue Tiberium, so he probably saw that grabbing of the blue Tiberium from BartJones, so he's going to know he's going to have at least a little bit of a boost. We have our first portal down here for BartJones at his natural expansion, which is where he seems to be liking it as of right now. We do have a second war factory out for the Black Hand faction, out for Futurama. Futurama is using these Confessors to get some decent scouting, and we have some Scorpion tanks finally moving in here on the center of the map, engaging in dance with these Seeker tanks, almost taking one Seeker tank down before they regroup with the rest of their forces. BartJones did finally throw down a Nerve Center, and he's got a couple of Plasma Cannons ready to go to fight against this minor assault. None of these are really meant to be all-in engagements. This is how some of these higher level players poke and prod to see where they can go in. BartJones taking some descents and moving them over to the right-hand side of the map, maybe trying to get the Tiberium Spike over here. Descents are pretty good at doing that, and if they can make it over there in time, they will do pretty good. But unfortunately, they do get caught by these bikes and buggies, which will get rid of them rather quickly. That's unfortunate for BartJones. He's probably looking to do, once again, something sneaky with those. And we've seen that multiple times from BartJones, where he likes to take these descents to either, not really scout, but to see what he can get for free with those descents, because they're not going to cost him an arm and a leg to build. this assault is going to cost Futurama quite a few units. It's not going to fully damper him, but once again, we're seeing BartJones use this defender's advantage to his, advantage. More forces, more man spam moving into the natural expansion of BartJones over here. Futurama doing what picking he can. Futurama also getting a Confessor squad in for a scout on the main base of BartJones. Lightning Spike is out, or Storm Column is out for the Skren faction for BartJones, and it did a significant amount of damage to the attacking force of those. Man Spam is moving back in, possibly to take out the Storm Column. I say as soon as one unit of Rocket Squads gets immediately nerfed. It looks like instead of going mid-tier units, Futurama is trying Black Hand Scorpion tanks and buggies, possibly to deal with the descents and for cannon fodder, and then using these militant rocket squads to do a lot of the damage, because Skren isn't really using very many infantry units. It's almost primarily vehicles. He's got the gun walkers, he's got the seeker tanks out. He does have some corruptors, which we haven't seen him use too much as of right. The forces of Futurama are moving over on the right hand side of the map, maybe to find out what they can kill. The forces of BartJones do force the Harvester to unceremoniously leave the center of the map, not able to get a full set of blue Tiberium, but the Man Spam is going to push into the center of the map to try to do what damage they can. They need to get these Corruptors, if at all possible. These Corruptors are going to be a big issue if left alone, because then BartJones can just micro and use that micro to take out the forces. Did we just see a drone ship get murdered by... I think we did. I think the drone ship is gone for BartJones. I didn't see how that died so quickly. Maybe it died as soon as it landed, but that is kind of insane. Oh, no, BartJones tricked me. Okay. It was the decoy army on his drone platform. I wasn't even aware that you could do that. That is definitely really sneaky. This assault has begun on the natural expansion of Futurama. Futurama still has a lot of man spam, and he still hasn't even engaged with his main force, which is also at the natural expansion of BartJones. BartJones choosing to back up and go defend his base. That is going to leave his drone ship a little bit exposed if Futurama decides to move further. The one click gets called out in order to slow down the assault of the Scorpion tanks on the natural expansion of BartJones. They're going to position to try to get as many Scorpion tanks as they possibly could. That is very good for BartJones. He might be able to wrap up a kill here. The man spam is moving down the center of the map, which will be a little bit harder for BartJones to deal with. He does get these Scorpion tanks, which is really good for him. That is a significant number of Scorpion tanks down, but that is not the entire force of Futurama. Futurama has two main forces that are moving back and forward from the right-hand side of the map to the center of the map into the natural expansion of BartJones. Futurama constantly being the aggressor, which can give you advantages, especially if you can take out a good chunk of the Harvester or disrupt your enemy's productions, or taking out little bits and pieces of the base. And it looks like these tripods are going to completely ignore the man spam over here. Granted, the gunwalkers are moving forward, but they're going to need more than gunwalkers to take this out. Corruptors moving just a little bit too close, getting picked off left and right. Unfortunately, that is going to be the majority of the Corruptors down. The blink back of one tripod does happen. He does have a good number of tripods and a whole bunch of buzzer hives out here to fight some of the man spam, but we've sort of seen time and time again that these buzzer hives can do a large amount of work, but they can't stop everything. They do eventually get overwhelmed, especially when you have beam cannons like this who are targeting the buzzer hives from a long distance away like that. And there goes another buzzer hive right there. Things are not looking super great for BartJones. He is pretty anemic on the force. He does have a bunch of high tier units, but those high tier units aren't going to do too much versus the man spam. They could fight the beam cannons if they could get close. It looks like BartJones is also going to lose his drone ship. He does have an airship out here, but it's on the front lines, and I suspect it's going to get taken out here soon. This is a crazy, crazy amount of man spam, followed up by a base rush by Futurama. And the most important part of all of this is that BartJones is not able to harvest the Tiberium over on his secondary natural expansion. His economy is going to be hurting. Meanwhile, the push just continues on these tripods. The push just continues on BartJones. I'm not sure what he can do. This is a staggering number of units. BartJones, seeing the writing on the wall, does decide to throw in the towel, does decide to call up the GG and try his luck better in the next one. It looks like man spam is proving to be a good solution versus BartJones' Scrin. The plot is thickening, Commander. Let's see where this leads. Welcome back, Commander. We are on the map The Sun Doesn't Rise with a score of 6-4. This round is sponsored by Napkin Poetry, because even the best ideas sometimes end up in the trash. Definitely not the trash himself in the bottom right-hand corner, wearing the yellow robe, sporting the screen gloves, the man looking for his man spam crushing angle, BartJones. This opponent waiting for his moment in the top left-hand corner, wearing the teal robe, sporting the black hand gloves, the man putting his faith in Black Hand, Futurama. Fighters ready? Begin! We have seen small maps and maps suffering from low Tiberium, but this is not one of them. There are 2 massive Tiberium fields per player to start off with, as well as 2 easy to get Tiberium spikes per player, and to top it all off, there is 2 blue Tiberiums in the left and on the right hand side of the map. More than likely, we will get to see a fast start and large forces. This is also not a bad location for some of the crazy rushes that you can do, because you can do a whole bunch with this large field. Doesn't look like any of the players are starting with that just quite yet. BartJones has decided to move first on his natural expansion, with Futurama just right behind him. Another item of note is there is the EMP control center in the center of the map, as well as mutant hovels. Maybe one day someone will use the mutant hovels. We can hope and pray. Right now, both players doing the usual, looking for their way into the opponent base, looking to see if the opponent has started off with something crazy. Another interesting note for this map is that you can park your MCV right here and still get all of the items that you want, so you're protected on one angle. It's a really nice, I guess, change of pace for someone who wants a larger map. There's also the secondary natural expansion, which starts out about, I want to say, about half strength and builds its way up over the map. And this is just one of those maps where it's going to be hard to run out of Tiberium. The primary way you lose is not necessarily by suffocating your opponent, but more of just crushing them. Not that it's impossible, it's just there's a lot more Tiberium here to try and crush. Both natural expansions are starting to develop nicely, and around the same time, Good Boy Gunwalker has made his way all the way inside the base of Futurama over here. Unfortunately, he's going to get taken out by some Scorpion tanks. No head pat for him, but I suspect he's just there for the scout. He unfortunately doesn't make it all the way through, so he can't see this really sneaky secret shrine. That is super great for Futurama. I suspect with the future shrine, we're going to see some sneakiness, which is really nice for him blocking that kill, as I stated before. Futurama putting garrison troops inside of these towers here in order to see what's coming, in order to stop the EMP if there might potentially be one. One Seer tank getting forgotten in the center of the map. That is unfortunate for him. BartJones is probably distracted. He is all over the map doing a couple of different things, harvesting blue Tiberium and doing whatever he can. He is the first to grab the blue Tiberium on his side of the map, with Futurama not too far behind. Futurama already has a good number of man spam out on the field and a handful of bikes ready to go. They are going to start pushing their way into the natural expansion of BartJones, I should say, here in a little bit. Descents making their way over to take out these Scorpion tanks. That's not necessarily a bad thing if the Scorpion tanks can stay out of range, though. The Descents are going to have a hard time killing anything, especially if they can pull them into these Shredder turrets, which are just going to shred The descents. Shredder turrets, unfortunately, are in low power mode at just the wrong time. That is really unfortunate. The assault for Futurama has started on BartJones' base over here on his natural expansion. Buzzer Hive is out on the expansion for BartJones, taking down many of these man-spamming units. There are reinforcements here in the form of rocket bikes, but BartJones already has a good number of upgrades for shields on his Gunwalker, shields for his Seeker tanks. He has his T3 out. He's got a lot going for him as of yet. These bikes are going to be very annoying to deal with their mobility. They're going to be able to pop from side to side on the map. If Futurama is able to sneak them in, he might even be able to get a couple of these bikes to get these exposed harvesters down here. It does look like the Buzzer Hive gets sniped by the rocket squads sitting not too far over there. This man spam has continued. It looks like they're finding a good purchase out of some of these flame units while they can. The unfortunate part for Futurama, though, is all of this assault has done really for him is made him lose units. He hasn't been able to take harvesters. He hasn't been able to stop his opponent from getting a couple things, although he does have a couple man spam here ready for blue harvesters or whatever might come their way, so maybe that's his advantage. He does finally get a flame tank out on the left-hand side of the map. There is a flame tank also in the center side of the map with some ranks on it already getting taken out. The flame tank on the left-hand side, at least one of the flame tanks on the left-hand side, gets taken out pretty easily. The block does come out for the T3. That did appear to be Futurama's target. And unfortunately, Futurama was not able to find any purchase with that. He was able to do a small amount of damage, but that block was just in too good of a spot. That refinery was in too good of a spot in order to stop that flame tank. Second flame tank moving in on the left-hand side while Futurama is beginning an assault here in the center of the map. This flame tank might be able to get a refinery right off the bat. I say that as the lightning spike just destroys him immediately. This man spam force is not really grouping together. They're just doing small whittling assaults. Granted, I know that he was trying to use the flame tanks to do something sneaky, but BartJones just was not having any of it. His defense is just a little too strong as of right now. And like I said, one of his primary strengths in this show match series has been his defender's advantage and how he uses it. He's been using it to whittle down the forces of Futurama time and time again. Futurama frequently being the aggressor. In a lot of these games that we see, the aggressor can be the winner, but you don't do anything as the aggressor if you're not doing anything with your aggression. And by that I mean if you're not taking it to give yourself advantages, to take down buildings, to take down forces, that you're not really going to be able to get much purchase from them. MCV getting targeted down by these Devastator warship. A whole one beam cannon seems to be enough to chase them off for the time being. There are a crazy amount of tripods here in the center along with plenty of reinforcements. I suspect we're going to see the downing of the MCV here soon. One click does stop a large number of rocket squads over on the left-hand side, as well as a Purifier, the avatar of that faction. BartJones has moved over into full aggression. He's moved into the natural expansions, both 2 and 3, or both 1 and 2 natural expansions for Futurama. He's going to be able to get a lot done here, and he's eventually going to be able to stop some of the harvesting, although this fight is not over yet. Futurama does have the defender's advantage, so he can repair, but that only matters if he can manage to take out a good number of these forces, and that's going to be a little difficult because the drone platform is here to set up shop. So that's going to give BartJones time to set down things like buzzer hives to take care of the man spam, which has been his main problem historically. The GG does get called. Futurama, seeing that he can no longer harvest resources, just throws in the towel. He decides, I am done. I tried my best. I tried what tactics I wanted to do in this show match, and I am done for the time being. Thank you for tuning in, Commander. I have been your host, Korak. Transmission out.